This podcast is brought to you by The Senior Techie, a source of information for seniors and others about technology. And let me just jump right in with a scenario that I guarantee almost everyone listening has experienced.
Okay, let's hear it.
Have you ever been sitting in your favorite chair, holding your smartphone or your tablet, and you suddenly have this overwhelming urge to just throw the thing directly across the room?
Oh, man, yes. I can safely say we have all been there.
Right.
It's just a universal human experience at this point.
It really is. Because, you open an app you use every single day to check the weather or send a message, and overnight, a software update has completely moved your favorite button.
Oh, the war.
The thing you tap all the time is just gone, hidden behind some mysterious new menu, and the frustration is immediate, and it is intense.
Yeah, completely.
But what if I told you that specific hair-pulling frustration is actually a better shield against cognitive decline than, say, doing a daily crossword puzzle or hopping on a treadmill?
See, that is the ultimate reframe, and it is incredibly relevant for our listeners today.
Yeah.
If you are an adult over 55, or, if you're a caregiver helping a parent navigate the digital world, this perspective shifts everything.
It really does.
Because we spend so much time complaining about technology being a burden as we get older, right?
We do. And so today, here on the Senior Techie podcast, we are exploring a really fascinating concept that the Senior Techie points out. We're looking at why avoiding what they call the slow slide of aging requires a highly intentional technology plan.
Yes, an intentional plan.
We are going to unpack how staying current with your digital devices doesn't just keep you connected to your family, but actually rivals the absolute best lifestyle habits out there for preserving your independence and your mental sharpness.
It completely flips the narrative because the Senior Techie lays out this compelling evidence that engaging with these screens is not a waste of time.
Right.
It is a vital protective mechanism for senior health.
But, before we get into the practical advice of what to actually do with our devices,
The how-tos.
right, the how to build that intentional plan, we really need to look at the staggering numbers the Senior Techie brings to the table.
Oh, the data is wild.
Because honestly, the science on this goes against everything we naturally assume about aging and technology.
It does. The science is genuinely mind-blowing here. And we are not just talking about some small localized study of 50 people,
Right, this isn't a tiny sample.
Not at all. The Senior Techie highlights a major meta-analysis published in the journal Nature Human Behavior.
Okay.
And to give you an idea of the scale of this thing, this research looked at data spanning over 411,000 adults aged 50 and older.
Wait, 411,000 people?
Yes, pulled together from 57 different studies.
Wow. I mean, in the world of medical research, a sample size that massive means these findings are not just a fluke.
Spot on.
You just can't argue with a data pool that large.
You really can't. When you have a sample size approaching 500,000 people, you are looking at undeniable, concrete behavioral patterns.
Okay, so what was the big takeaway from all those people?
Well, the head-turning finding from all of this data is this regular use of digital devices was associated with a 58% lower risk of cognitive impairment or dementia.
Wait, I need to make sure I heard that right. A 58% lower risk.
58%, yes.
I want our listeners to really pause and hear that number. Because, we always hear doctors prescribe brisk daily walks.
Right?
Or eating a Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
Or doing those specialized brain training games to keep the mind sharp.
Yeah. The classic advice.
But general tech use is outperforming them.
It absolutely is outperforming them. Let's put that 58% into context with the traditional advice given to older adults.
Please do.
So, regular physical activity, which is universally recommended and obviously incredibly important.
Of course.
That reduces dementia risk by about 35%.
35.
And those dedicated brain training games you mentioned, they reduce the risk by about 31%.
Oh, wow. So 31% for the brain games, 35% for exercise, and 58% for just using your digital devices.
Precisely.
It's like finding out that trying to text your grandkids or, figuring out how to navigate a new weather app is a stronger mental shield than the treadmill.
It's crazy, right?
It completely upends how we think about brain health.
And it directly addresses a very common fear, I think. For years, there has been this anxiety in the media about screens turning us into mindless zombies.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
The whole screen time panic.
Right. Well, the researchers at UT Austin specifically looked into this, and they completely dispel the myth of digital dementia in older adults.
Oh, interesting. Digital dementia.
Yeah, that concept that tech makes you lose your memory. They found that technology engagement is consistently, reliably linked to better brain health, not worse.
Okay, but if the numbers are really that high, we have to dig into the mechanism here.
Let's do it.
Because how is looking at a screen providing such a massive neurological benefit? On the surface, just scrolling through an iPad on the couch does not look like a strenuous cognitive workout.
Well, the secret ingredient is the very thing that makes people hate technology in the first place.
Which is
It's the friction.
the friction. Wait, you mean the sheer annoyance of things not working the way you expect them to?
That's right. The senior techie highlights a fantastic quote from Baylor University researcher Michael Scullin.
What does he say?
He describes that classic scenario of someone sitting at a desk, gritting their teeth, saying out loud, "I'm so frustrated by this computer, this is hard to learn."
Oh, I've said that exact sentence.
We all have.
Okay.
But Scullin points out that this awful feeling of frustration is actually a direct reflection of the cognitive challenge occurring in your brain.
Okay, let's unpack that, because I think people assume that if they feel frustrated, it means they're failing.
Right.
Or, they think they're just too old to get it.
That is the tragic misconception, that feeling of wanting to pull your hair out because you can't find the volume control on a Zoom call.
Yeah.
That is quite literally the sensation of your brain forming new neural pathways.
Oh, wow.
Think about neuroplasticity. When you do the exact same routine every single day, like making your morning coffee, your brain uses well-worn, deeply ingrained neural pathways.
Because you've done it 1,000 times.
Exactly. Well, precisely. It requires zero effort.
Right.
It is like driving on a paved highway.
You are basically on autopilot.
Right. But technology demands constant adaptation. Every single software update, every time you have to troubleshoot why the Wi-Fi dropped, every time you have to filter out the digital noise on a busy web page, the paved highway is suddenly closed.
Okay, I see.
Your brain has to wake up, pull out a machete, and bushwhack a brand new trail through the jungle just to figure out how to send that email.
That's a great visual.
And that bushwhacking forces your synapses to fire in novel ways. It is a profound, low-level problem-solving workout.
Okay, but let me push back on this a little bit.
Sure.
Aren't tech companies constantly trying to eliminate that exact friction?
Well, they say they are.
Right. I mean, they hire armies of designers in Silicon Valley to make iPhones and Windows computers more intuitive, specifically so older adults won't get frustrated. If our devices eventually become completely seamless and, too simple to use, don't we lose that brain benefit?
That is a brilliant question. But the senior techie strongly emphasizes something here. It is the change itself that acts as the workout, not the baseline complexity.
The change itself.
Yeah. Even if a designer makes a new menu technically simpler, the fact that it is different from the menu you used yesterday is what forces your brain to adapt.
I get it.
Learning those small interface shifts, understanding the new logic of a redesigned app, that is what keeps the mental machinery flexible.
So it's not about the software being mathematically complicated to use.
Right.
It is simply about the software changing. It forces you to stop coasting.
That is right. When you are coasting, your brain is preserving energy. But when an update scrambles the layout, your brain has to assess the new environment and solve a spatial and logical puzzle to get back to what it was doing.
Well, if adapting to new environments is the workout, then refusing to update your device must be the absolute worst thing you can do.
Oh, absolutely.
It would be the equivalent of sitting in a recliner all day.
And that leads right into a hidden trap that so many older adults fall into, often with the very best of intentions.
What's the trap?
There is this pattern of stagnation. You have an older device, maybe it is a 10-year-old tablet, it barely works, the battery dies in an hour, but it stops demanding anything new from you.
Because you know all its little quirks, you know exactly how hard you have to press the screen to make it register your finger.
Yes, you learn its workarounds. You know you have to press the home button twice really fast.
Right.
Or wait 10 seconds for the screen to unfreeze before you tap anything. And that familiarity feels like competence.
Oh, I see where this is going.
You think to yourself, I am good at using this tablet. But according to the senior techie, that is an illusion. It is actually a dangerous form of cognitive stagnation.
It's like driving a rusty old car where you have to jiggle the key just right in the ignition to get it to start.
Yes.
You feel like a pro because you know the magic trick that no one else knows, but you aren't actually learning how to operate a modern vehicle. You are just managing a decaying machine.
That is such a vivid way to put it. It highlights the danger perfectly because eventually that rusty old or that 10-year-old iPad is going to completely die.
It's inevitable.
It is. And when it does, a new modern device has to enter the picture. But because you have been stagnant for a decade, the gap between your old device and the new one feels totally insurmountable.
And that's when you might think to yourself, I'm just too old to learn this.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, that's the feeling.
Or if you're a caregiver listening right now, you hear your parents say they've lost their touch and they just want to give up on the smartphone entirely.
But they haven't lost their innate ability. They just stopped building on it day by day. And this has severe real-world consequences for their daily life. Well, the senior techie points out that digital tools act as essential scaffolding for a senior's independence.
Scaffolding. What does that actually look like in practice for someone in their 70s or 80s?
It is everything that supports their daily autonomy. It is the GPS navigation keeping them driving safely to new appointments.
Okay.
It is the video calls keeping them connected to the grandkids across the country. It is the online banking, the telemedicine portals where they message their doctor, the digital medication reminders.
So it's really the fabric of their daily routine.
Right. When a senior clings to a failing device and eventually gives up on it because the new one is too intimidating, they aren't just losing a piece of electronics. They are losing the structural scaffolding that supports their independence.
If you lose the tools, you lose your independence. That is a heavy realization. I mean, if your parent gives up on their smartphone because it is too hard to learn the new gestures, they might indirectly be giving up their ability to manage their own finances or get a ride to the grocery store.
And the emotional toll of that loss is devastating. The senior techie highlights research tracking over 122,000 participants globally.
Another huge study.
Yeah, and this massive study linked digital exclusion directly to higher rates of depression in older adults.
Wow. So being left behind digitally isn't just an inconvenience. It is actively harming their mental health. It isolates them completely from modern society.
When the world moves on and your digital scaffolding collapses, the isolation sets in incredibly fast. That is why treating technology as an optional hobby or something you can just opt out of is a dangerous mistake.
For seniors, staying current is a critical lifeline.
Absolutely.
But, if digital exclusion is actively driving up depression rates, then clinging to that familiar dying iPad is actually a health hazard.
It really is.
Which means we need a concrete intervention. Because knowing you need to update is one thing, but actually doing it when it feels so frustrating is another. How do seniors and their caregivers prevent this slow slide?
This is where we shift from understanding the science to actually taking action.
Good.
The senior techie notes that good intentions fade very quickly, but specific, rigid commitments hold up over time. They shared a really powerful anecdote from one of their readers that illustrates the mindset shift perfectly.
Oh, what was the reader's approach?
So this reader was watching her 81-year-old mother slowly lose the technology skills she once had. She saw the scaffolding falling away firsthand.
Yeah, that's tough to watch.
It is. So she and her husband made a strict, non-negotiable rule for their household. They were going to upgrade their devices every 5 years, minimum.
Wait, replacing a perfectly functioning laptop or phone every 5 years?
Yep.
That sounds incredibly expensive and, honestly, super frustrating. Are they saying the hassle of buying a new device is the whole point?
That is the exact logic. Even if the old laptop is technically still turning on and you feel comfortable with it, at the 5-year mark, it gets replaced.
Wow.
No clinging to the old gear just because it is familiar. It forces the friction we were talking about earlier.
That is a bold strategy.
Yeah.
It guarantees that every 5 years, your brain is going to get a major, unavoidable workout, whether you feel like dealing with it or not.
It turns a vague, easily ignored goal of staying current into a scheduled, undeniable event. The senior techie suggests setting a calendar reminder right now.
Like actually putting it in the calendar.
Don't just pick a year, pick a specific month and year for your next device refresh. Write it down, and when that month arrives, you upgrade.
But, 5 years is a long time for a brain to coast.
Yeah.
How do we get our mental reps in during the years in between those big hardware upgrades?
You fill that gap by never skipping your operating system updates.
Oh, the ones everyone ignores.
Yes. Whether you use iOS on an Apple device or Windows on a PC, do not let those little notifications pile up for months on end. Installing them is vital.
Because that's the change.
Right. Those incremental software changes are your daily and monthly adaptation exercises. They provide the constant friction your brain needs.
But man, if we hit a snag during one of those updates, it can be really overwhelming. especially from the caregiver perspective.
Oh, definitely.
Like if I'm visiting my dad and his email looks different and he's frustrated and confused, it is so tempting to just snatch the phone out of his hand and say, here, let me just do it. It'll take me 2 seconds.
Caregivers mean well when they do that, but by stepping in to fix it instantly, they are actually robbing the senior of a productive struggle.
Robbing them of the workout.
Yes. The senior techie leaves no room for doubt here. Well, they strongly emphasize that the struggle itself is the medicine.
The struggle is the medicine. I like that.
When someone is confused by their phone or computer, they need to sit with the confusion. Try to figure it out before immediately handing it over to a younger family member.
That is a massive reframe for family dynamics. We think we are helping by fixing their tech issues, but we are actually denying them their cognitive workout. We need to let them wrestle with the settings menu.
Yes, encourage them to puzzle it out. And to add even more variety to that mental workout, try to introduce one new app or feature a month.
Just one.
Just one. It doesn't have to be massive or complicated. Maybe you learn how to use the voice-to-text feature for the first time.
Oh, that's a good one.
Or you download a simple new app for tracking bird migrations or local hiking trails. Just one new thing a month keeps the learning pathways open and flexible.
Learning a new app all by yourself can feel like learning in a vacuum, though. What if they genuinely hit a wall and get stuck?
That is why you should treat learning tech as a scheduled social activity. You don't have to do this alone.
Right.
There are so many free community resources out there designed specifically for this. Local libraries run excellent digital literacy classes. Senior centers have tech help days.
Even the Apple Store has those free classes, right?
Yes, exactly. Making it an outing removes the isolation of the struggle.
Let me clarify something, though. Are we saying that every 70-year-old needs to become a Silicon Valley tech enthusiast?
No.
Like, do they need to be coding software or wearing virtual reality headsets to get this benefit?
Not at all. I'm glad you brought that up because the goal here isn't to chase every shiny new gadget on the market or become an IT professional.
Okay, phew.
The goal is simply to keep the mental machinery running. You don't need to achieve mastery. You just need to be an active participant.
So it's entirely about maintenance, not mastery.
Precisely. Which brings us to a really crucial distinction that the senior techie makes about how we actually engage with these devices in our homes.
What's this distinction?
The research on digital engagement and brain health focuses heavily on actual varied use, not just ownership.
Right, because just buying a fancy new laptop, setting it on the coffee table, and staring at it isn't going to magically prevent cognitive decline.
Keeping a laptop closed or having a smartphone that you keep in your purse and only ever pull out to make standard phone calls carries absolutely no protective brain benefit.
It's like buying a heavy set of dumbbells and keeping them tucked away in the closet.
That's a perfect analogy.
The mere presence of the dumbbells in your house doesn't build muscle. You actually have to pick them up, feel the weight, and lift them.
You have to engage with the device in varied ways to get the resistance training. Send a text message with an emoji, check the hourly weather forecast, read a news article, use the map to navigate to a new restaurant.
Mix it up.
Yes. It is the variety of use, forcing your brain to jump between different interfaces, that stimulates the new synapses.
There is a really comforting message woven through all of this data, too.
What's that?
You don't actually have to love technology to benefit from it, do you?
Not even a little bit. You don't have to enjoy the process of learning a new operating system or figuring out a redesigned website. You just have to keep at it. Think about physical exercise. You might not love waking up early to go for a brisk walk, especially on days when your joints ache or the weather is gloomy.
Sure.
But you do it anyway because you know it keeps your cardiovascular system functioning.
You keep walking on the days you'd much rather sit down.
Yes. And we need to apply that exact same discipline to our digital lives. When a software update hits and scrambles your favorite app, you might want to give up and put the tablet away.
Throw it across the room.
Right. But you keep clicking, you keep exploring, because pushing through that annoyance is quite literally keeping your mind alive and preserving your independence.
That is such a powerful perspective shift. It makes me wonder, and this is something for all of our listeners to mull over as we wrap up today. Should doctors start prescribing setting up a new tablet right alongside physical therapy and blood pressure medication?
It sounds funny at first, but based on the sheer volume of data, prescribing a tech challenge might be one of the most effective interventions a doctor could write for long-term cognitive health.
So the next time a software update interrupts your day, or you can't figure out where they moved your email icon, I want you to try reframing that moment.
Don't let it beat you.
Don't look at it as a personal failing or a massive day-ruining annoyance. Look at it as a free 24/7 gym session for your mind. Embrace the friction, because that struggle is the very thing keeping you sharp.
Spot on.
This podcast was brought to you by The Senior Techie. It's available on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. If you'd like to keep up with their newsletters, you can subscribe for free by going to subscribe.theseniortechie.com.